How is it going then, everybody? I hope you're all doing very well. Welcome back to another video here on our channel. I'm the FIFA Analyst. Today we are going to be discussing something with you that you guys have been asking me about a lot of the times, and it is, what is the best camera angle on FIFA 20? Do any of them have actually any benefits? Are there any cons? What's the co-op versus the tele broadcast? Can you use tele? Can you use classic? Lots and lots of different debates. Now, the thing is, with camera angles, they are very much a personal preference. There isn't this one's perfect and, you know, it's going to be great and get you more wins. It is very much down to you. However, I do think certain camera angles have better pros, and then I feel like the certain camera angles have cons as well. So I'm going to discuss them all with you today, show you exactly the difference between the few, why I think said camera angle ranks the top, and why I think second, third, and so on. If you do enjoy the video, please let me know by dropping a like. You can subscribe to the channel. We do upload twice a day at 8 AM and 5 PM UK time. Let's go and jump into it. So then, the first camera angle up, we are going to be discussing tele broadcast. What do I run on my tele broadcast settings? Tends to be 17 zoom and then 3 height, and that is exactly what I am running for my tele broadcast, which is what you can see on screen. Now, the tele broadcast is one of, I'm going to start with the best one in my opinion. It is the best one for me and for the majority of FIFA players. Now, the reason for this is because it is zoomed in to a degree where you can see the small close animations and the angles are good, but it's also zoomed out to a degree that you can see a lot of the pitch, you know. So let's just say here, for example, we've got the ball with Robertson. We're down at the bottom, you know, the very bottom of the pitch. Where can we see? We can literally see up to here, which is, we can't see the right back, we can't see the right mid. You can just see them on the little mini map down at the bottom there. We can't see them. So it's not like you can't see every run, you can't track every run. I mean, in terms of when the ball's in here, this is where the actual camera angle can be a bit of a letdown. If you take a look here, you can't actually see the centre-back that I might want to be moving over to here. You can see that I've got the right back that's now coming over, but we can't see the little man hiding there. So what can happen sometimes is that, let's say if there was a player here, you might player switch to this man, and because you can't see him, you might not track that run properly, and that can catch you off guard a few times. Is that something that happens on a regular? Not for me personally, but for you guys, it may be something that you find to have its bit of its issues. That's kind of one of the issues with it. The way the camera angle moves from attack to defense is that sometimes it can catch you off guard on that front. But the good things about this camera angle, that's kind of the only negative in my opinion, is that it is quick, it is zoomed in, you can see every little bit of animation and dribble. So things like there with Crespo, if say that it was the opposition that was doing this, or a skill move or a ball roll, the animations are clean and crisp and you can see every little fine minor detail and touch. I'll jump into the other camera angles in a minute on why I don't think they're good for things like that, and also what can happen from this camera angle when you are in delayed gameplay. It doesn't feel as bad in tele broadcast because it's still fairly zoomed in. Now, let's touch on why I still think this is one of the best camera angles that you can possibly choose from, and it's all to do with angles. Let's just say here, if I was going to turn and take this shot there, right, the angle from here to there, that's the goal. Okay, on the actual stick, because the goal is big, because you're zoomed in, you know, a fair whack, the goal and the angle is a lot bigger. So if I want to aim up into this corner there, the analog stick, the actual aiming on the stick is bigger than what it would be on camera angles that I'll speak about after we've gone through this one. You think about your analog stick when you're going to do it, you're going to put it into that corner or that corner, and that is the angle on the analog stick, okay? Like that. So it's got a bigger proximity, it's got a bigger radius, and it can be really, really good on that front. And that's one of the reasons why I like the tele broadcast. This formation, this camera angle is very, very good for the clean, fine little details. It can see the majority of the pitch, but the angles are one of the big things. If you are struggling to score and you are on a different camera angle, the tele broadcast can help with that just because of those angles. To reiterate, the reason why it has that is because when you are looking at the goal to hit it far post and hit it near post, the angles are clean and crisp and they're bigger. They're bigger. That's the main thing. It's much easier to do. Now, let's go ahead and jump into the next camera angle that we're going to talk about, which is going to be the co-op, which is this one. How do I run the co-op? I run it on 20 height and 10 zoom. And what that's going to do is going to give you an elevated height to see the whole pitch. The zoom is there just to make it a little bit more zoomed in and try and keep the, you know, the finer little details. This camera angle is going to be great for you to track runs, to see runs, to move the ball around really well. If you're a possession-based player, this camera angle can do absolutely wonders for you. What are the downsides to it? Because that all sounds good, doesn't it? Analyst, I can track all the runs. Look at this runner down here. I can track it. I can see what's going on at the top side of the pitch as well. I mean, let's have a look at this for you here. Down in the bottom, we can see that runner and that runner. So when the opponent starts to come forward, if he wants to go that way, well, we know how much of a threat that run is because we can see the space in behind. We can see if we've got our right back there. We can see if we've got our centre back there. But as if we were on telebroadcast here, if you remember, when the ball was down here, we couldn't see further than there. We wouldn't see that man unless we looked on the mini-map. One thing to bear in mind. So it's really, really good for that. And most people go, well, if I can see all the runs, why would I not stick with it? Why would I ever change? Well, you know when we just spoke about the angles, let's just show you where someone gets in on goal for us, just so we can see it and show you exactly. So when this guy comes in, he's going to take his shot. Look at this angle to hit it and there and there. Can you see that in comparison to the telebroadcast? That's a lot smaller of an angle. You look at the difference between there and there, you know, the top and the bottom actually on going near post or far post, it's a really, really smaller angle. Now, if I just grab a controller for you, look how small the controller is in general. That then means that it's very, very difficult. You might find with co-op that sometimes you're saying, I'm aiming near post and it goes straight at the keeper because the difference between that post and that post are so close and so similar because it's so far zoomed out. The goal's smaller, you know, the actual radius is smaller, which that can obviously play its impact on it. So you may find that it might be a little bit more difficult to score in this particular camera angle. What I also find with co-op, I'm saying you can track the runs, I'm saying you can see all the runners in behind, you can see what's going on, and it's great and we love it. If you aren't the greatest FIFA player, it can be, boom, mind-blowing to see everything. What then happens is you might start going, there's a runner over there, grab my right back, I need to track it. And it's like, well, no, there was a man running through on the middle. You could have tracked that run, which was more dangerous. And it starts to be a knock-on effect to, I can see this run, I can see this run. And you try and defend and move everyone and your team shape goes out of the window. And then when it comes to attack, what can also happen is that you see so many runners and you just don't know which one to go to. And sometimes just keeping it nice and simple and playing to the man in front of you can do really, really well on that front. So that's why I think this camera angle has that bit of its issues. It's really good that it can see the whole pitch and you can track everything. If I go into try-hard mode, I will use this camera angle. The downside to this camera angle as well is also that it's got what's called, I don't know how to call it, but in my opinion, when the game is slow and delayed, this camera angle makes it feel 10 times worse. The game already feels slower when you use this camera angle. It just does because it's so zoomed out, you know? It just makes it feel slower. So then when you get the good old foot champs delay, the game just feels terrible. So that's obviously one thing to take into account, that when you move to that telebroadcast, the game feels quicker and sharper, it looks slicker. You can see all the little animations. On here, it's much harder to see the fine little touches, how people move, what skill move they might be doing, and so on. So those are the few downsides, but it is a very good camera angle. Have a little play with it. Most people would tell you this is probably going to be the best if you can get used to it, but I just don't think many FIFA players can, if I'm perfectly honest with you. So moving on to our next camera angle, what we're going to talk to you about now is going to be the classic camera angle. So jump into this game. This is what, say, like Gorilla plays, TAS plays. I used here classic default, so it's 10 and 10, okay? I've used this camera angle a little bit throughout the years, and some pros love it and rave about it and tell you why it's so good. For me, this is down the pecking order for the simple fact the way the camera moves, it's very much... So let's look when we're down at this bottom side. You can see everything here, great. What you'll probably find if you start using this camera angle more often, you will attack down this side of the pitch more. Look how hard it is to see what's going on that opposite side of the pitch. When this ball comes over to this top side, the camera angle's not over it. It's still lifted down and further over, which makes it more difficult to, again, see those fine little animations. To dribble, I find it harder as well. That's one thing as well with the co-op, by the way. The co-op struggles with dribbling because of how zoomed out it is as well. So that's one of the issues with this classic camera angle, in my opinion. It is good. It still feels like the telebroadcast in terms of that it's slick and it's, you know, it's smooth and it moves everything around really, really freely. But I don't like the fact that it's lower down. Yes, you can raise it. I know you can, obviously, with the height, but it is lower down, and you will find that you'll be attacking down the closest side to the pitch a little bit more often. It can still track runs fairly well. I find this is one of the issues. you can't see the fullbacks as easily. Look at where the fullback is at the minute. The way the camera angle is, it makes it really hard to track your fullbacks. And what I found when I used it, my fullbacks would come out of position all the time. Like, look at them there. You can't see it until now he's on the camera view. So one thing to bear in mind, it isn't as much of a popular formation. Some people do still use it because it is, I think, what used to be the default back on FIFA many years ago. So some people do switch back to it because it's what they're used to. And that is one of the key things here, if I'm honest with you guys. It is using what you're happy with and what you like. With the Classic as well, it has the same benefits of the telebroadcast of the angles on goal, seeing all the animations and everything like that. So don't worry about that on that front. It is the same. And I must say, that Oscar card we used in this draft, unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Really enjoyed using him. Really fun card. You then do have like other camera angles like Telly, which isn't as popular. That one's very high and zoomed in. It's like a weird, it's like a mix of co-op and telebroadcast. Personally, I'm not a fan of it. It doesn't even look like FIFA. It looks like I'm playing some, like, I don't know, weird football game. It seems really odd. I'm not a fan of telly, but again, personal preference. And then things like end-to-end pro, you're not going to use. We just want to stick to them. So how do I rank them? Telebroadcast is 1 for me for the majority of the time. If I'm try-harding, I will switch to the co-op. Co-op, if it could get the better angles to shoot, I'd use co-op, right? Because you can see everything, and being a possession-based player, that can be really crucial. However, I think telebroadcast with the like delayed gameplay and whatnot, that's why I choose it the majority of the time for that exact reason. And then I'd rank Classic as 3rd, and then the rest of them I would never even consider using. But those are kind of my opinions, and that's what they are at the end of the day. They are opinions. It is your choice on which one you want to go for. So have a little play around, see which one you like. If you have any further questions, please do ask. But remember, telebroadcast to me is 17.3. Co-op is 2010, and then Classic is default, which is 1010. That's what I use on my setups. I hope you have enjoyed the video, guys. If you have, then please let me know by dropping a like. You can subscribe to the channel. As I said, we do upload every day, twice a day, 8 AM and 5 PM. And we do also stream on twitch.tv/FIFA Analyst. A link in the description for there for you to come on over and say hello and ask all your questions live and get your answers. Thank you for watching, guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.